Hi, my name is Kim. I am a state licensed, nationally certified East Asian medical provider, and I completed my formal education at one of the leading East Asian medical schools here in the United States. Have you been wondering how to talk to your doctor so that they'll listen to you? I want you to know that you're not unique in this situation. There's a lot going on in the medical community today that's pulled your medical provider's attention away from you and towards all sorts of other things. So, in this week's episode, I'm going to share with you some easy tricks that you can use to get your doctor engaged with you so that you can get the health care that you deserve. Oh, by the way, I was looking at the channel today. We have cracked over 200 episodes. That is a lot of information on Chinese medicine and solutions to your health without prescriptions or surgeries. And while we're at it, big shout out to HRBS Frank Gaming. Thank you so much for smashing the thanks button and donating to the channel. So what are you going to find in this episode? Well, two things. We're going to talk about, why your medical provider is not listening to you or is having a hard time hearing you. And then we're going to cover two scenarios that are probably the most common scenarios you're going to encounter and that you'll need to get your provider engaged with you. Why is your medical provider having a hard time hearing you? Well, there's a lot that's going on today, and let's look at some of the situations that are happening right now. The administration has gone way up. And when I say administration, I mean the profit motive and insurance. Those are the two hardcore heavy hitters in administration. And from the profit motive, where that comes in is your different metrics that you have to follow, which could be how much time you can spend with a patient, how much you have to turn over a patient's every day, or what kind of health care you're delivering for each one of these patients. When it comes to insurance, there's a ton of effort on documentation, on justifications, on rejustifications, on follow-up with insurance. It's not easy to get anything approved with insurance today, as you guys probably already know. So those are the two big players when we say administration has gone way up. And that has taken a huge chunk out of a provider's time. And then when you look at clinics and hospitals, the last time I looked at it, they were supposed to keep a book of over 2,000 patients a year. So 2,000 patients, if you're just working 5 days a week, that means you have to see 8 patients a day, and that means you only get to see them once a year. And if somebody comes in, they usually have to come in more than once a year. And so there's another aspect of this too, is that's a lot of patients, right? How can they know their patients if they're only seeing them once a year? And think about how many times you've gone to your doctor in the last year. Some of you haven't gone at all. Some of you, the last time you had been in to see your doctor might have been 2-3 years ago. So it's really highly unlikely that your doctor knows you. And that is the third aspect of why your doctor might not hear you, is because they don't know you. So they don't know who you are when you're well. They don't know who you are when you're sick. And that means that a big part of the medicine has to be medicine by statistics. And what I mean by that is stroke patients. I think it used to be that the statistics on stroke were pretty low. It was something like maybe 10 in 100 people that come in, or 10 in 1,000. I forget what it is, but it was super low. So it was highly unlikely that whoever came in for a stroke was having a stroke. Now, that's not true today, right? because post-COVID, the strokes have gone way up. But it was true before COVID. And so, being that they don't know you and they have no idea who you are when you're sick or who you are when you're well, they are kind of forced to do healthcare by statistics. And I do have a couple clients. I have one client who was a statistic and they were having a stroke and they went into ER, and healthcare by statistics. It's a really highly improbable that the person who comes in thinking they're having a stroke is having a stroke. They sent them home. And what that meant for this person is that they missed that window to get the medication to eliminate or to stop that stroke. And that changed the rest of their life. So medicine by statistics, it's only a risk if you're the statistic. And that's why this can be a problem. So let's talk about what are the two most common scenarios when you're seeing whoever your medical provider is, when you're seeing them. Let's talk about the two most common scenarios about trying to get the healthcare that you deserve and how you can work with your provider to get the healthcare you deserve. You know you're busy. I know you're busy. You have a job. You have a life. If you wanted to be a medical care provider, you would have gone to school to train in this. You wanted to be something else, so you didn't go train in that. You don't need to be a medical provider, and you shouldn't have to be, right? That's why we have specialization today. We have specialization so that we can accomplish more as a community. So let's figure out what we can do to work as a team with our medical provider. Now, there's going to be two scenarios that you're going to run into. You're either going to run into a scenario where there's a solution presented and you don't agree with the solution, so there's no agreement on the solution. Or there's a second scenario where there's a solution presented and you're like, yeah, I'm okay with that solution. Let's talk about the first one, where there's a solution that you don't agree with, because that's where we feel like we're not being heard most of the time, is that solution's not working for me. Can we pull out another one? And how can you work together to pull out another one? Everything's going to be about questions, because you remember being in school, working on teams. How do you work on teams? Well, when you work on teams, a big part of it is how do you work together? In this scenario, your specialist is going to be your doctor, but you're going to be the CEO. So what does a CEO do when the specialist is presenting a solution? Well, they're going to ask them questions about it because they want to make sure that's a right solution. And that's what you're going to do. You're going to ask questions, and it's 5 questions. So the first question is, why do you think this is the most effective solution? I mean, you're the CEO of your body and you're learning about your body. So help me understand, why do you think this is the best solution? The second question, if this isn't the best solution, what would you do differently? Okay. And why would you do that? Okay. What would be the worst thing that could happen if you're wrong with your solution? And then how confident are you that you have the right solution? So let's look at those questions one more time. Why do you think this is the most effective solution? So especially when you're dealing with a solution that you don't really agree with, help me understand, why is this the most effective solution? Okay, thanks. If you're wrong, what would you do differently? Well, maybe don't say wrong. They might not like that. If this isn't the answer, what would you do differently? And that starts getting them to problem solve. I mean, they're geniuses. They went to school. They specialize in this. So, and here's the thing I've noticed in the younger doctors, they all came out of team building schools. And so they love working on teams. So presenting them with questions and asking them for answers, they're really good at that. And they love engaging in that fashion. And they'll engage quickly and effectively. They've got a ton of information sitting just swirling around in that head of theirs. So they'll start throwing out solutions on what they would do differently if it was something else. Then you can ask them, why would you do that? Why would you look at those other solutions? And they'll tell you why they'll do that. And then you can ask them, because now you've got them thinking about alternatives. What else could it be? Ask them, what's the worst thing that could happen to me if this first solution is wrong? That usually gets them really thinking, because sometimes some really bad things could happen if it's wrong. And then ask them how confident you are that you have the right solution. So you've taken them through this whole scenario. You've got them thinking, you've got them opened up, and you've got them realizing that if this was wrong, there's some significant problems that could happen. Okay, how confident are you in your solution? That their confidence level will probably go down. And here's the thing, they could never be 100% confident, especially if they've done no tests, because allopathic medicine is about tests. And if there's no test done, there's no way you can be 100% confident. And that can get you to the point where you guys start talking through different scenarios. Does that make sense? 5 questions. Why is this most effective solution? If it's not, what would you do differently? Why would you do that? What would be the worst thing that could happen to me if this is wrong? And I think you want to know that too, right? So if this is wrong, what would happen to me? What could happen to me? And then how confident are you in your solution? Okay, let's look at the next scenario. And that's a scenario where you and your doctor have been working together and she has a solution and you're like, yeah, I'm okay with that solution. Okay, so 5 questions again. They're pretty much kind of similar, but kind of not. So the first one is the same thing. Why do you think this is the most effective solution? Or why do you prefer this solution over all the other solutions that we looked at? What are the potential side effects? That can really change your decision, is understanding what the potential side effects are. And then this one's always important. What does the research say about your solution? And when you're asking that, the research is, what's the success rate on this? Is this a cure? How long am I going to have to be doing this? So we're looking at, there could be all sorts of different solutions here, from back surgeries, from medications to injections, and they have all different time lengths, and they can have whole different impacts on your health. And then you want to know, are there any other options in Western medicine or any other medicine to help address this? And then would you use this solution? Why or why not? So let's look at that just one more time. Why do you prefer this? What's the potential side effects? What does the research say? That's so important. Are there other options? And then would you use a solution? Why or why not? And I can tell you, I had a client that had really severe back pain, and it was from a botched back surgery. And so the solution was to do another back surgery. And the problem is that back surgery had such a seriously low success rate. And, I kept on asking or encouraging him to talk to his doctor and ask these questions. Why do you prefer this solution? What's the potential side effects? What does the research say about this solution? What's the success rate on it? And if the success rate's really low, what does that mean? What's that going to do to me and my health? Are there any other options in either Western medicine or other medicines? And then would you do the solution or not? Well, this back surgery, it did have super low success rate. But a lot of times that's a generation that can unanimously vote for Western medicine. And that's okay. The thing was that it didn't work in this scenario. He ran into the fail statistics. The fail statistics were so high, it'd be highly improbable that it wouldn't be a fail. And I ran into him about a month after the surgery, and he was in worse pain than before the surgery. He was really, really feeling horrible. And older adult, had just retired, just bought his dream car. Life was looking good. He was going to enjoy retirement. The problem with being an older adult is we've used up a lot of our vitality, so we can't be under constant stress. And the constant stress of that pain ended up causing a stroke. And that stroke incapacitated him, and he ended up having to move into a facility. So you got to kind of ask, what's the success rates here? What would it mean to my health if it failed? And, don't feel bad about getting second opinions on stuff like that too, because this is your life. This is your health. And if there's anything I know about health, is there's just not one answer. Okay, so there it is. Why your medical professional is having a hard time hearing you. It's not because they don't want to. They definitely would prefer to just do medicine, but they're not given that option anymore. And then how to help work with your medical professional to get them engaged in your situation, to get them thinking about your situation so the two of you can come up with a solution together. Okay, guys, until next time, I'll catch you on the other side.